Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. How's everybody doing today? Okay, just getting comfortable here. All right. Everybody seems to be doing good. Carolyn, Stu, I see you there. Thank you for joining us. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, today we are going to be doing our monthly versus battle, which this time I decided to pick the original Nightmare on Elm Street versus the 2010 remake. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is an obvious win. Why are you doing this? Because, well, I mean, it's easy live streams. This is an easy subject to talk about. And I do think that there are some positive things about the remake. I do. I know. I saw that, Carolyn. I'm glad you made it. I feel bad when other people say, oh, I can't make it to the Patreon live stream and stuff. And it does make me feel bad. Genuinely, I do feel bad because but because I do like it when people have fun on my channel, but I do got to admit that the reason why it's a Patreon live stream is because the patrons pay monthly. That is why they are able to. Only $1 a month can get you access to these live streams. Only $1 a month. So, and it may not be a lot. I know that sounds like it may not be a lot, but it does add up. So, like, you got to keep that in mind too. So I don't blame people for not being patrons. But this is something that I can do for patrons that is fun, easy, and cool to do. So I'm really happy. Just surprise us, just like Carrie. Yes, that's the right attitude, Stu. Thank you for saying that, man. I honestly haven't seen the remake, so I don't know how I can judge it. This is going to be interesting then, isn't it? This is going to be interesting. Well, I already know which one you're going to be voting for since you've already seen the original. But I suggest checking the remake out only because I think it gets a bad rep. I really do. I believe that. I think it gets a way worse rep than other remakes, and I think there's a lot worse remakes out there. So, we're obviously going to go ahead and talk about our first category. I was hoping more people would jump on in. If you guys are patrons and you know people who are patrons, then let them know that we are going live right now. I would really appreciate it if you guys could help me out because I've already done everything I could to get a hold of them. But if you know anybody who else is a patron on this channel, then please. I think I've seen parts of the remake. I'm just not sure if I've seen the whole thing. I would say check it out though. I think it might be on HBO Max if you have HBO Max. Obviously, if you don't have HBO Max, that's fine. 100% okay. But definitely one I suggest checking out for sure. I mean, you might hate it, but I mean, at least you checked it out. At least you can say you checked it out. I mean, I got to be honest. I didn't love the Friday the 13th remake at first, but the more I've watched it, the more I've appreciated it. And the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street holds a special place in my heart because it was the first time me and my buddy Lane ever went to the theaters and saw a horror movie together. So I really got to thank it for that. I really do. But I understand the hate. Don't get me wrong. I understand the hate 100%. So we got the remake and the original Nightmare on Elm Street right here. So we're going to see which one comes out on top. Obviously, we will go through different categories of this discussion. So, and we will talk about it. Put that down there. We'll talk about it. Honestly, I've been a Freddy fan my whole life. It's my favorite horror franchise, and I like the remake. It wasn't just rehash of the original. It had some interesting ideas. I agree. It does have interesting ideas. I don't like the whole. We'll talk about it when we get into it. But anyways, folks, let's go ahead and dive into the first category. So, Carolyn, are you still here? Stu, are you still here? Anybody who's watching, please comment saying that we are here watching, so I know that I can go ahead and get started because sometimes it doesn't alert me that more people are watching. So I would appreciate it if you guys just go ahead and say, we're ready. Say you're ready, and we'll go ahead and start category 1. And category 1 is going to be interesting. I'm starting with the least most popular. Okay. Okay, we got 2 people watching. It says I have 1 viewer right now, which, no, it looks like both people are still here. So, anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and dive into our first subject. If more people start popping in, then they'll catch on. So, we're going to start with one of the most unpopular characters of the films. So we're going to go ahead and... ready? Okay, Carolyn is ready. Okay. Yes, I'm excited to hear that. Okay, so our first category is Marge Thompson versus Gwen Holbrook. So, this is our first subject. This is Nancy's mom in both films. So, and I know you won't be able to talk too much about the remake since, Carolyn, you have not seen the remake, but Connie Britton, I will give her this, was really good in the remake. Like, one of, I think, highlights of the remake, if I do say so. But Ronnie Blakely as, Marge in the original one had something very, like, you didn't like her. There was something about her you just didn't like. And I can't put my finger on what that really necessarily is. Maybe it's the fact that she starts turning into a drunk. I don't know. She was getting stressed out, started drinking towards the end, all that stuff. There was something about her you just didn't like, but there was something about her that you felt sorry for. So it was very interesting. Yeah, you definitely did not like her character. No, there was something about her that was just obnoxious. Just like, oh my god, everything has a fucking reason, doesn't it? Like, it was just nonstop. And she just kept getting worse. Marge, 100%. Marge being an alcoholic and irresponsible as a parent made Nancy feel more isolated and alone. That is a good point. That is a good point. She couldn't rely on her mom, even though her mom was the only one trying to, like, give her, like, reasonable examples of why what she was seeing was all reasonable. And she just came off obnoxious at that point, and then she started drinking. It definitely shows not a perfect parent, definitely not a perfect parent. Connie is really a great actress. She really is a great actress. How could you, and she was great in the remake. That's one of the highlights, actually. I would say Connie Britton in the remake was one of the best parts. So this is a very interesting subject. Both play their roles probably as good as they could get. I'm being honest. I mean, there was obviously a reason why Wes Craven made the character Marge as the way she was, and there was obviously a reason why Connie Britton was the way she was in the remake. So I have to give it to Ronnie, though, since it's all I know. I understand, Carolyn. I understand. So I think we're gonna go ahead and give it to Marge, because I think out of these two, like a good mom, Connie Britton's character actually cared too much. Yeah, she cared way too much, and the other one cared too much to the point where they both cared. It's just Ronnie Blakely towards the end of that movie. Good God, dude, I wanted just to she fucking locks her daughter in the house. I locked the door, and she's laughing about it and stuff. Oh my God, get out of here. But but anyways, yeah, I would say probably Ronnie Blakely to me is just more memorable. Like, yeah, you didn't like her, but she was just more memorable as the character, And obviously these two are different characters, but I gotta say, out of performances go, Ronnie is probably the most memorable of these two. Connie Britton did a good job, a great job, but she kind of plays that typical mom that you would see in a horror movie. Ronnie definitely had a different, no one likes her, and that might be a plus because most horror movie moms aren't really all that different. So I'd give it to Ronnie. Especially, well, if you compare it to like fucking The Babadook and Hereditary, then I'm speaking nonsense. But out of back then, not really anything crazy. So yeah, I like them both, but yeah, I think Ronnie Blakely is probably going to win this. I'm going to go ahead and give it to the 1984 version on this one. And because you guys voted on it and you guys say that she's the winner, so we're going to go ahead and mark that down as a win, folks. A win for the 1984 film. Heck yes. Okay, so our next subject is going to be, bam, Rod versus Jesse. All right. All right. Rod versus Jesse. And you know what? Kind of like with the first subject, I like both of these actors, though if I had to be bluntly honest with you, I couldn't stand Rod in the original film. I couldn't. He's one of those, he's exactly the kind of example of people I don't like. He's a dickhead. He was a jerk. I mean, came off like a forceful asshole. I mean, he was just, there's a lot of things I didn't like about him. And there was even one moment in the first movie, the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, where Rod, right? He's being like accused, or like Nancy asks him like, wait, so you like, but be honest, did you do it? And he looked at her like, what did I fucking tell you? And then he starts like getting up in her face and stuff. And it's like, dude, you just made yourself look like the biggest fucking criminal of all time right there. Acting like you're going to beat the shit out of her because she didn't know what to think. It's like, good God, man. Rod looks more like a bad boy, and that's what you expect in that character. This is really hard, but I thought Thomas Dekker had way more depth. Jew Garcia just played a jerk. Dude, I gotta, and it's a shame, I wish Carolyn had seen the remake, but I gotta agree that I feel like Thomas Dekker overall just had more depth to the character. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm just gonna call him Garcia. Garcia, when he played Rod, yeah, he did a great job playing a jerk. That was perfect. He is a jerk. But Thomas Dekker, he has a bit of everything mix. He's more complex than Rod, who I just feel like was there to kind of take the fall for Freddy's murder, right? And then eventually, what happens to him, obviously, is his death, which I actually think Garcia's death at Rod's death is a lot more effective than Thomas Decker's death. Though I still think, Thomas Decker's death is one, very fucked up. I can't really spoil it since Carolyn hasn't seen it, but I'll tell you it's pretty fucked up. Both are really good though in their performances. I gotta say, it's a shame again Carolyn hasn't seen the remake, but that's okay. But I think it's very interesting. So I'll go ahead and let you guys vote on this because I'm curious to hear what you think. Obviously, I'm more lenient towards Thomas Decker because I just don't like the jerk aspect of Garcia's characters, though I know that's exactly what they were going for. But there were moments where you were just like, dude, you're being a legitimate dumbass. Why would you do that? And okay, we got one vote for Decker. Okay, so Carolyn, who do you vote for? And since there's no one watching, if there is anybody watching, please vote. We only have 2 people voting right now. I would like for a couple more people to be in here voting with us. Okay, we got 1 vote for Rod, and we got 1 vote for Jesse. Okay, so this is going to come down to 1 more vote. Who should win this round? Should it be Rod or Jesse? If anybody else is watching. If no one else is watching, then we're going to be in a pickle. But I'll probably have to go ahead and vote. But I prefer if you guys voted, to be honest. Kellen, did you see what I commented above what he said? I did not. 1 sec. Rod looks more like he looks more like a bad boy. I have to give Ronnie though since it's all I know. Yeah, I saw your comment. Yeah, Rod looks more like a bad boy, and that's what they were going for. Exactly. They were going for a bad boy. And, Jesse does have aspects, kind of similarities of that, but he's not full on like a douchebag. Rod actually is like a kind of a douchebag, and that's why no one's surprised when they think he murdered her, because the way he is. Which obviously adds to the horribleness when they all realize, well, no, I mean, when they realize, he really wasn't the guy. No, apparently one of my comments is not showing up. Oh no, I didn't see that. I'm sorry, Carolyn. What did you say? Sorry about that. I don't know why it's not showing up. YouTube probably fucking up again. It does that a lot, guys, so I apologize. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on, though. So I'm going to go ahead and possibly give this to... I'm going to go ahead and give it to Jesse, I think. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Jesse because I'm the only one here. So let's go ahead and give this point to 10 remake. But I will say, if more people here, I feel like Rod would have done better. So we'll go ahead and get to this. And again, if we go back on YouTube, where it's going to be posted later on, then we'll probably see that a lot of people prefer Rod. But again, let's go ahead and move on to the next subject. I know we don't have a lot of people in right now, so that's probably why it's taking a while. But anyways, our next subject is, bam, the girl who started it all opened the movie up and was talking about how a crazy man with a burnt face was coming after her in her nightmares, and that's Tina. Tina versus Chris. This is going to be an interesting battle, though I already know who the winner's going to be. I know who the winner's going to be. I think it's quite obvious. So we got, that's supposed to be Amanda Weiss, by the way, not Amanda. Amanda, oh my god, I missed the A. Ah, fuck. Oh well. And Katie Cassidy. Amanda versus Katie. So they're both good. They really are both good. They're both solid performances. Both do really good screams. Both have a lot of great scary faces. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say I feel like the one who captured the psychological aspect better, the one who was really terrified of this guy, I'm going to go ahead and go with Tina. I think she just overall gave the better and more memorable performance, and her death scene is obviously one of the most iconic death scenes in all of horror. So, I mean, when she gets floated off the bed and her stomach gets slashed open by Freddy's gloves, I mean, how can you not freak out? I put my other comment back up there. Oh, is it back up there? I have to give it to Ronnie, though, since it's all I heard. Rod looks more like a bad boy. Rod, LOL. Amanda, yeah, I know, man. It is Amanda. I just forgot to put the A in there like an idiot. Yeah, both show fear really well. I think they both, show fear very well. They're both very good at what they're doing. But I feel like, again, Tina is probably the most memorable. I wonder if it's blocking my comment because I use a bad... Oh, did you use a bad word? I don't even know why it's doing that, because I don't really think I have it, set to where it should be blocking your comment. I cuss all the time. But I vote for Tina. Her death was just slightly more disturbing. I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't know why it's blocking your comment for a bad word. I didn't set it to that, so that's weird. I really apologize for that. I don't know why it's doing that. That's kind of dumb. Wow. Wow. Freaking YouTube. So we got one vote for Tina. I would vote for Tina myself, but I think Carolyn's gonna go vote for Tina because it's the only Nightmare film she's seen. But I mean, look, they're both great. There's something about Tina, man. You were talking about Rod and Nancy, and I was mentioning how he commented, "Don't look at me like I'm some fucking fruitcake." Yeah, yep. Don't look at me like I'm some fucking fruitcake. Good to know, Carolyn, so I don't drop some F-bombs, lol. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. I think that's stupid. I hate that shit, man. I really do. And I cuss here all the time. So I apologize, guys, for that. That seems like it's out of my power to fix that. So we got Tina. I think Tina was going to win this round. I already know which movie's going to win, but it's interesting to talk about the greatness of some of these performances. Actually, Drum Dumps put it the best way. He feels like this remake was so realistic compared to the first one. Like, this is how kids would probably act if shit like this was really going down. So I like to think of it that way. But that was Tina. So now we're going to move on to probably one that you guys are more excited about, and that is, bam, Glenn versus Quentin. Johnny Depp versus Kyle Gallner. I already know who's going to win this one. I think it's quite obvious who's going to win this one. And the reason why he's going to win this one is because of who it is. Johnny Depp's going to win this one. It's just obvious, right? It's Johnny Depp, right? But you gotta get to Quint. I'll say Kyle Gallner though was a better performance. Yeah, I will go ahead and go there. I will say Kyle just gave an overall better performance. Yeah, he looks constipated and always worried in every scene, but like Johnny Depp, I will be blunt, doesn't do all that much in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. He's just there to be Nancy's boyfriend. That's practically all he is. And there's nothing wrong with that. He does a good job for what he's given, but obviously, there's just more of a depth, I would say. No, depth. More of a depth with Quentin, I would say. It was Johnny's first movie, and I have to admit, it showed. It was his first movie, so he had obviously a lot of leeway. Quentin, Kyle Gallner's, this is not his first movie, so, and you could definitely tell, but there was just more character to Kyle than there was Johnny Depp. But I will agree with you when I say I still prefer Johnny Depp, because it's Johnny Depp, and I still like seeing Johnny Depp in the movie. But I will say, overall, the better character is Quentin, because there's just more to him than Johnny Depp's character as Glenn. He had a very memorable death. Yeah, he did. Yes. Quentin, I don't even think died. So, like, Johnny Depp, his death really made his performance more memorable. He overall, I think he's just more of a memorable character. But, again, just because it's more memorable doesn't mean it's superior to Quentin's, Kyle Gallner's performance, who I do think is overall a more in-depth character. Carolyn, can I comment a spoiler? I'll let Carolyn answer that, of course. Glenn. I just think Johnny Depp's gonna win this one without question, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter that there's not like 45 people in this live stream. I still think he would win, even if there was 45 people. So, I mean, yes, Stu, I'm bothered. Okay, I'm not bothered by spoilers. Okay, she's not bothered by spoilers, so you may comment a spoiler, Stu. I'm gonna drink my coffee while you guys are commenting really quick. But I think the answer here is quite obvious. Kyle Gallner has no business surviving in that movie. And I gotta say, a lot of the scenes with Quentin, his dad is the principal of the school, so a lot of interesting scenes between him and his dad in the remake. And I do like the remake for what it is. I actually think it gets a lot more hate than it deserves. Some people will even say it's worse than Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which I say is bullshit. Yeah, getting that coffee. But anyways, guys, I already know Johnny Depp's gonna win this. I think it's without question, really. But again, I still think Quentin's a better character, but Johnny Depp is still more of a memorable performance. And one of the reasons why he is a memorable performance is because it's Johnny Depp. His name alone makes it more memorable. Out of those two, Johnny wins for me. I love Kyle's performance, but I agree Johnny was more memorable. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and agree that Johnny Depp wins this round. I'm not surprised. I'm not at all. So we're gonna go ahead and film the 1984 film. So that's 3, dude. Okay, hold up 1 second, guys. Okay, so basically, guys, the original one is winning 3-1 right now. So I think the old one, Thomas Dekker won in the 2010 one. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is a more interesting subject and pretty easy. I think it's going to be very over in like a second, but let's go ahead and do the next one, which is Donald Thompson versus Alan Smith. So John Saxon versus Clancy Brown, both extremely awesome actors. Awesome. I think John Saxon though passed away like literally last year. So it wasn't even that long ago since John Saxon passed away. But the great late John Saxon. Yeah, back when I first saw it, Johnny, I didn't know who Johnny Depp was. Nobody did. Nope, nobody did. Then he went on to 21 Jump Street, and then he started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Great performances started coming out. So yeah, Johnny Depp is an icon. But John Saxon versus Clancy Brown. You got the sheriff versus the principal. Okay, so I'm gonna be blunt. John Saxon, right? John Saxon is amazing in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Hell, he's probably the best part next to fucking Freddy, in my opinion. I love John Saxon in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Clancy Brown was a dick. Like, no matter, he was just a dick. This one is no con to John Saxon. John Saxon, he wins, right? The late, great John Saxon. Now, Clancy Brown is a great actor. He is phenomenal. He's really good in this movie, but I fucking love Clancy. I love Clancy Brown too, but I gotta be honest. John Saxon's more memorable. Clancy Brown, for the reasons like I didn't like Rod, the guy's just a dick. And he gives glares to everybody. He's always trying to keep this certain thing a secret, and he's always a dick to his kids, just so he could think he can protect them. He just comes off to me like a big fucking asshole. And yeah, don't get me wrong, John Saxon obviously has some dickish moments in the first Nightmare film, but he's obviously doing it not only because it's his job, for one. You know, it's not fucking Clancy Brown's job to be a dick to everybody, but I mean, it's hard to look at Clancy Brown and not think Mr. Krabs. Yeah, Mr. Krabs. Yep, yeah. I already knew someone was going to say that. It has to be John Saxon, though. John Saxon, man. How can you really? It's like that's the guy's job, is to like. I remember when there's that scene with speaking of Rod, right, where Rod is John Saxon's character uses Nancy to lure out Rod, and Nancy takes that as such betrayal and like, how could you do that? You used me. And it's like, we needed to find this guy. He was a potential murderer. Like, even if you don't think he did it, this man is a potential murderer. I had to use you to get him out. Like, seriously. Because I didn't hate the guy for doing that. I thought he was in the right for doing that. That's his job, right? He needs to hunt down a guy who was potentially a murderer to a girl. So I got it. But then Nancy was treating him like shit. Like, you used me. I'm the sheriff. I pay for your school supplies. I pay for your clothes. I pay for everything. You need to help me out when there's a murder, and you could be potentially involved. I don't know. That's my opinion about that. But anyways, I like John Saxon a lot more. I think he's way more memorable than Clancy Brown is in the remake, without question. And it looks like you guys agree, so we're going to go ahead. Rest in peace, John Saxon, by the way. Phenomenal. I was so blown away and heartbroken when I heard about his passing. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and give it to John. I think that's obvious at this point. So Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 only has 1 point. 1 point for the remake. Oh boy. Oh boy, folks. Oh boy. Okay, the next one is, and we're almost done, guys. There's not too many things we can compare in this movie, but bam. Heather Langenkamp versus Rooney Mara as Nancy. Okay, so again, kind of like the last one, this is very one-sided, and I will give my reasons, and I'm sure you guys can obviously jump on in, tell me your reasons why, but Heather Langenkamp is obviously the right pick for this choice. They're both named Nancy, but yes, Nancy Thompson versus Nancy Buchholz, I think is her name. No, yeah, something like that. Nancy, though. Nancy versus Nancy. So, Yeah, Nancy Thompson versus Nancy from the remake. Okay. Of course, I've seen the remake, but definitely, I've never seen the remake, but definitely Nancy. Nancy has to be an answer somewhere, right? But Heather Langenkamp, and the reason why Rooney Mara, who is a phenomenal actress, and congratulations, I'm pretty sure she's having a baby, so that's really exciting for her, but she phoned it in. I'm going to be blunt and rude about it too. She phoned it in. She didn't care. She was very, very, it was a very phoned in performance, and she didn't care one bit. She was just winging this thing throughout the whole thing, didn't even attempt to care. Every once in a while she had a good moment, but not enough to save her performance. She really did not do anything memorable with the character of Nancy, and that's a shame too, because you get a fucking actress like Rooney Mara in there, and you're like, holy shit, that's phenomenal. And then she does that, it's like, wow, you could have given that to somebody who actually would have cared, who could have been a fan of the franchise and done something good with it. But you totally phoned it in, which pisses me off. Rooney Mara had a hard time on set, and almost made her quit acting. I can only imagine that she was probably not caring anymore on set, and the filmmakers might have noticed that. Now, do I know everything behind the scenes? No. So I can't smash her and destroy her too much, but I can't slam her too much because she obviously, I don't know everything that's going on behind the set, so smash her. I almost sounded bad right there. I wasn't meaning it like that, by the way, folks. But no, I just didn't like her performance. I thought she was very fucking she was just, it just was lazy. The performance to me was just kind of lazy, and I didn't like that. Heather Langenkamp, though, was really good as Nancy, very memorable. Obviously, people know her from A Nightmare on Elm Street, so she left her mark on the franchise with this one performance. And she obviously came back in a couple of films, but she was totally wooden. She was a very wooden. It was a very wooden performance. She was easily probably the most wooden performance in the entire movie, and that is the main character of the movie, so that says a lot. Screw sleep. Yeah, I didn't like the performance. I think out of both of these, obviously Heather gave more of a shit when she was making the movie, so I think Heather deserves the point for this. Now, you guys comment, let me know what you think. Stu, I'm curious to hear what you say because you have seen the remake, so you're probably going to go ahead and vote with Heather Langenkamp. Another point probably for the 1984 remake, but it's understandable. Rooney Mara gave us such a wooden, boring performance with Nancy, and she could have been fucking amazing. Heather all the way. Heather all the way. All right, so we got Stu's opinion, and I know Carolyn's going to be voting for Heather Langenkamp. Heather, yeah, well, without question, really, right? Without question. Now, the next one's going to be interesting, and we're going to have a conversation about it. So, obviously, the next one is, bam, Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund versus Jackie Earle Haley. Now, obviously, like the previous battles, I know for a fact it's going to be Robert Englund. There's just no question. Robert Englund is going to be the winner of this round because he's just overall great. He's phenomenal. Rooney killed it in Dragon Tattoo, but I have not seen that movie, but I do own it on Blu-ray, and I got to get to it at some point. I really do. But Robert Englund versus Jackie Earle Haley. Okay, so liking both of these performances, and I do. I like both of these performances a lot, actually. Jackie Earle Haley and Robert Englund give pretty dark and mesmerizing and very, very sadistic performances as both Freddy Kruegers. Like, both Freddy Kruegers are very sadistic and very, very scary. Okay? We both can agree on that. I think we all can agree on that. This one's so hard because each Freddy was so twisted in totally different ways. I agree. That to me, and I know this might get some hate, but to me, this is like comparing the Pennywises. Okay? Both of them are so good and so memorable in each of their own ways, right? Jackie Earle looks as free as Freddy. But that's all I can get off since I have not seen it. I would say definitely, Carolyn, please go by my advice just this once and watch the remake, because I think you might find some things you might like about it. Now, there might be some things you might hate, but there might be some things you like. Basically, let's go ahead and talk about what is so different between them as Freddy Krueger. And the first thing that people are going to go to, and I'm going to go ahead and, since you are okay with spoilers, Carolyn, if you're not okay with this is a big spoiler from the movie. So this is a really big spoiler. So I want your consent on this before I say it, because this is a big spoiler, okay? And they're going to try to twist you up in the movie, but this is a major spoiler. So I was going to mention the Pennywise portrayal. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about this. I will check it out. Okay, I'm so glad. But let me know before I give away the spoiler, because I don't want to give it away unless you're okay with it. Robert Englund, though, as Freddy, to me, is obviously the more iconic performance. There's no getting around that. I think they utilized the practical effects with him, the CGI. I don't even think they used that much CGI, if any, really, in the original. So, like, the practical effects really added to Freddy in the original. You take my suggestion, so I'll take yours. Awesome. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Jackie Earle Haley, though, feels more like a real burned victim, which is a big plus. He looks more like a real burned victim. He really does. His face is distorted. He doesn't look, people, when you, especially, when you say he looks weird, yes, he does look weird. I mean, in some lightings, he looks really cool, but and he does look weird, and he does look more like a burn victim, which I do respect. I'm trying to do that differently. I do respect that. Robert Englund was gleefully evil, and Jackie was very silently subdued and serial killer-like. Yes, he was very. Spoilers honestly don't bother me. Okay. We want to watch the movie any less. Okay. So the spoiler and the biggest difference between Robert Englund and Jackie Earle Haley is their past, their history. Freddy Krueger was always hinted at, not really hinted too much. There was some speculations hinting at that he could have been a possible child molester, but they decided not to go down that path for the first film. So he's not really a child molester, more as a child murderer, which is how us horror fans like it. Jackie Earle Haley's Freddy Krueger he's a child predator. He is a molester. Okay, he is proven in the movie. They find pictures of child pornography in this guy's hidden lair. So he's a child molester. Basically and bluntly, that is the biggest difference between them. Yes, he only became a child murderer and after they killed him. But before then, he was actually only child predator. So that is the biggest difference. They made him a predator in the remake, and in the original one, he's a child murderer, and those are the reasons why the parents go after him. He would test his weapons out on the children and molest them. And for me, as a horror movie fan, and as much as I love the character of Freddy Krueger, and as much as I really like the performance of Jackie Earle Haley, you can't root for a child predator. To me, a child predator is just so disturbingly sick. Like, yeah, the child murderers are really bad too. I'm not saying they're not bad. But Robert Englund mostly I've noticed, murders young teens more than anything. More or less, right? Yeah, so, I mean, it's a horrifying... don't get me wrong. Being a child predator is a horrifying concept. I mean, that's scary, on top of being a child murderer. But they really... You root for his demise. You can't root for him because he's a child predator. You don't want to see this guy win because he molested kids. He molested literally preschool kids. So how could you root for that? How could you? Like, seriously. And obviously that's not Jackie Earle Haley's fault. He's just given the performance. He's reading the script. It's his paycheck. So you can't blame that guy. The character in the remake you can't root for because they made him a child predator, and that's why one of the biggest reasons why this movie is so hated by critics, fans, is because how can you root for a straight up pedophile who molested preschool kids? Like, you can't do that. I couldn't picture myself rooting for him. I like the way he looks. I like the way Jackie portrayed him, but there's that one thing that just keeps holding me back from liking him more than... I will never be able to like him over Robert Englund's version of Freddy Krueger because he molested preschool kids. I can't picture myself doing that. So a murderer versus a pedophile. Pedophile is going the extra mile, right? That's ew. That is disgusting. That is really utterly disgusting. And these are kids. These are like 5-year-old kids. So yeah. That's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people hate the remake, and I can understand that. I really can. I actually like the remake, and I yet understand every point of it, why people don't like the remake. For one of those reasons being that Freddy Krueger is a pedophile. And to be fair and blunt, that is one of the reasons why Wes Craven decided to drop that, because that was actually going to be something that they were going to talk about in the original one too. They were going to make him a child predator, and they decided not to do that, which I'm very thankful for. I would have liked to seen Jackie in a sequel. He was so wicked. I agree. If they maybe, I don't know, maybe if in another sequel they actually decided to like maybe make it look like those pictures were fake. He just wanted to scare them, and those pictures were fake. He was never a child predator. They could easily fix that little error that I think they made in the first one with something along those lines, right? But obviously, I don't think they'll do that. Yes, it's like next level disgusting. It really is disgusting. They should have. I really think they should have made a sequel and fixed some of the errors they made in the first one, because I do think the first one was actually a very well made beginning film for what could have been a new trilogy or a franchise. But again, critics did not like it, fans did not like it, so the movie got too much hate, and one of the reasons why was because, the pedophile thing. They think it was a rehash of the original. They thought it was too gloomy, too boring, too much of a slow burn. There wasn't enough going on to really, and they thought the dream sequences, which I will agree, the dream sequences could have been a lot more scary and a lot more creative. So I don't know why they wouldn't have done that. But anyways, I mean, that overall basically sums it up. I think we can all agree that Robert Englund is just more mesmerizing, more terrifying. He has a lot more fun with the performance than Jackie does. Both of them are very different performances, but overall, Robert Englund just delivers. He really is the definitive Freddy Krueger. It's really hard to picture anybody else as Freddy Krueger. Even though there is another Freddy Krueger now out there, it's still hard to not see Robert Englund as the main icon. And he's a child murderer. He's a horror icon. He's so creative looking. And one of the reasons why it works so well is because he is the original actor who did play the original version in such a very creative movie. They should have combined Dream Wars and Dream Master and made it in an all-out battle. Yeah, that would have been awesome. There's a lot they could have done for the remake, but again, for what it is, I do recommend it. Even knowing you're probably going to have a lot of issues with it, I still recommend checking it out. So no guarantee you're going to like it, but check it out anyways. But yeah, out of these two, I think we can all agree that Robert Englund wins this round. Hands down, right? Robert Englund wins this round. And plus, no one liked the way Freddy in the remake looked either, so that didn't help. I didn't mind it. I actually liked it, but again, I understand. Okay, we got 1 vote for Robert, and I already know Carolyn's going to be voting for Robert Englund, so that is 5 for the original and 1 point still for the remake. Oh man, the remake is literally being destroyed right now. Okay, we're moving on to the next one. So in the next one, you're probably thinking, what is the next one? Bam. Which is the better film? So which of these is the better movie overall? I'm going to go ahead and give it to the original 1984 film for obvious reasons, but I will say that the remake is a very cool, darker and grittier version than the original. Even more dark than the original, I would say. For the 1984 one, I think it's obvious, guys. I think it's obvious the 1984 one blows this one out of the water. It's without question. Almost everything besides a couple things are way more superior, like way more on the level of like the remake is like it's kind of like comparing, how do I say it? In the best way possible, in the nicest way possible. Comparing these two is kind of like comparing a rock to gold. But yeah, I think it's obvious. 1984 one, just better. It's just better. I'm already gonna go ahead because I already know that's where people are gonna go anyways. So, bam, that's 6-1. 6-1, folks. That is the biggest fucking landslide I have seen on this channel yet. I think. I agree. 2010 was darker and could have been a slam dunk. They just kind of missed the mark on a few things. I do like the remake, though. I felt the darker tone worked for a new movie. I agree. That is yes, that's a great way to put it. Original, yeah, it's the original. But from what it could have been, that's what makes me mad. From what it could have been, the remake could have been so much more. Michael Bay, keep your hands off of shit. And then finally, our last section for this is Best Director, Wes Craven versus Samuel Bayer. And I think this can go along with the best movie, which is the better movie. Obviously, people are going to choose the great horror icon director Wes Craven over Samuel Bayer. Samuel Bayer has done some decent work. He has very good imagination, but overall, how could you not give it to Wes Craven? Wes Craven made such an iconic movie where the remake felt like a rehashed Hollywood film. Wes Craven took risks. Samuel Bayer, let's not get that wrong. He took some risks, just not the best risks. So that says a lot, actually. That says a lot. So you can't deny that Samuel Bayer had some good ideas, but overall, the risks he took, man, were just not good. Not good. So I think I mean, no question that Wes Craven won that round. But guys. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna bring down the screen really quick. Okay. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, guys, welcome back. Okay. So finally, we are done. Wes Craven for sure. I agree, Carolyn. I agree. So yeah, Sam Bayer should stick with horror. He needs to direct a few more things for sure. I agree. I agree with that. Okay, so this is the landslide of the. This is literally what happened. So 7-1, 84 Nightmare on Elm Street versus the 2010 remake. 1984 won 7-1. I mean, that landslide. Literally a landslide. It wasn't even a match. Okay? This was a lot of fun. Next month, we're going to be trying to do the original John Carpenter's Halloween versus Rob Zombie's 2007 remake, which is probably going to be a lot more fun to do. But I'm glad to have gotten this one out of the way. I'm hoping the people on YouTube who watch this later on have a lot of fun talking about it with us. So, I mean, not a lot of people join this one. That's okay. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you watching, patrons. You guys are badasses. Please, please, please keep up what you're doing on Patreon. A lot more coming to Patreon. Obviously, it's been a busy month, a busy year overall, so not a lot has hit Patreon, but again, we're doing as much as we can. And I think Michael and me were talking about how Michael will be starting to do a reaction series to the show A Haunting from Sci-Fi, and posting the videos here on Patreon for you guys. So wow, Carolyn, Stu, thank you guys. I mean, it was just you two for right now, but that's okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I really hope you have a great day. Thank you again, patrons, for being patrons. Means a lot. Your support really does mean a lot. We plan on doing more with the channel in the future. So, guys, thank you for watching. And until next time, movie friends and patrons, keep it retro. And I'll check you guys out in the next video. Take care.